Alrighty guys, as I keep bringing you another Dragon Ball Legends ToP Season 12 guide video. So we are going to be hopping in for this season. Last season, we did end up around like rank 600 using the androids and stuff like that. One of my most comfortable teams and stuff. But this season, it's going to be a little bit different. So I got a lot of stuff for you guys. My top 5 teams for the season is going to be minions, androids, GT, Sagas from the movies, and a mixture between regeneration and powerful opponents. And after that, we got map awareness, telling you about the map, what stages to probably avoid or to at least be aware of. That way you can go ahead and optimize your pathways. And then the new units, we have free-to-play Kid Buu, we have the EX Gohan, and the new LF Cell. That being said, we'll get right into the video, and as always, there will be timestamps in the description down below. Alright, for the first team that I want to talk about is going to be the minions. So I wanted to spend a little bit more time on this team that I usually do when I'm going through this list. So basically my first point that I want to get into is that this is 100% the best free-to-play team that you can possibly craft for this game mode, for the Tournament of Power game mode, right? So this is how I would set mine up. This is how the rank 4 player would set his up right here. And so he's actually he would use Copyman. I personally don't like Copyman. I feel like he has a really watered down version of a Pull's unique ability and stuff like that, right? And he only gives 5% to damage inflicted in this range, right? So only in 4 spaces, while a Pull, he actually gives 10% damage inflicted and 10% to critical rates to everyone that possesses the minion tag. So that's my own opinion right there. I mean, I'm pretty sure Copyman is still viable and stuff like that, but let's talk about what Cybermen I think you guys should actually, that you need to put on your team. Is this going to be this yellow Cyberman? So this is now your bona fide healer right here, guys. Let me introduce you to Kyukun Man, who's going to be able to heal everyone that possesses the minion tag by 4% at the end of the 3rd turn, and he even has a nifty little cover rescue just in case you get below that 30% HP threshold, right? And so so now you not only do you have a strike cover right here from Robberry, right, from my boy Rob, strike arts attack cover, you also have a blast arts attack cover right here. And so that being so already you got some utility, you got healing right there, a beautiful unit. You absolutely need them on your squad if you're going to be running minions. And then they also gave us a DPS. So I actually underrated this guy pretty heavily on my initial review of these guys, right? So when you look at this guy, I thought this was only for 1 turn where he gets 30% to special move gauge. This is at the start of every single turn. Every single turn he's going to be getting 30% to that special move gauge, dude. Every single turn. So he's guaranteed to have a blue card every single fight. You're going to see an insane amount of damage per fight from this guy right here, right? So I think that's a point in its own, is that the Cybermen can be mixed with the pull force, which is what you see right here. As for your 3rd Cyberman, I think it's really up to you. I'm kind of gonna play around with this. This guy, I thought he was pretty. I thought he was pretty decent when I read his kit. Nothing too special, nothing absolutely amazing or anything like that. But he does have a chance to follow up with another Blast Arts card, right? I wish that chance was higher. Like if it was 50% higher, then I think this would definitely be the guaranteed 3rd pick. But because it's 20%, I feel like you can't really go wrong right here, right? But you do want all minions, that way you can get that heal, right? You want that heal. But speaking of which, not only that, it's just the fact that this team, even if you don't have all these units right here on the screen, you could probably switch out from the minions and go into the Frieza Force and pick out some units in here, right? So you have Captain Ginyu, who's actually a pretty decent option. You actually have this first form Zenkai Frieza, who's a pretty decent option. You even could go abandon all of that and go into your Ultras. This guy is Z tier. And all these units that I just listed are completely and utterly free to play. But with being free to play, you have to have them at 14 stars. That's what I recommend, at least. I think it is heavily advised that 14 stars is kind of like a requirement on these guys, right? I mean, you don't absolutely have to have them at 14 stars, but I do feel like you're really kind of like just gypping yourself, right? You're essentially kind of just like cutting yourself short right there, right? If you don't have these guys at 14 stars, they are free to play after all. And so I guess the final point that I want to touch on is that these guys are all free to play. Filtering this by Z tier, every single one of my units are free to play and Z tier, right? Z tier. You can see filtered by Z, all in Z tier, all nice and neat. So let's go ahead and move on to the next team now. Alright, so the next team we have right here is going to be androids. Of course, as you guys do know, this is the team that I actually ran last season with a pretty good amount of success, right? I did get into the top 1K. I feel like that's pretty good, all things considered, right? So I think this is one of the safest teams. I think if we're going to see a lot of teams, or a lot of people using androids this season, right? So basically, let's go. I talk about this team like almost every season, but let's go ahead and just run it down real quick. So Red 18 and Zenkai 16 are pretty much mandatory. This is pretty much my general formation right here. Right, this is pretty much what I usually like to do. Is 16 always going to be in one of these corner slots? So, you know, you can flop them over here, flop them over there, but one of those on the left or the right. That way, this Red 18 is constantly throwing hills into him. And the beautiful thing about this, I think this is like one of the only units, if not the only unit, that has a cover change. He is able to go ahead and do it just on a blast arts. There's no health restriction on it, right? Which is really, really nice. You're going to mitigate a lot of damage coming to 18, especially if they have a lot of blues on their team and stuff like that. It's really, really useful, right? So I think those two units are 100% mandatory, like no ifs, ands, or buts. So another thing that I kind of failed to explain last time too is the synergy between Super 17 and Blue 21, the free-to-play Blue 21, right? So if you guys don't know, this free-to-play Blue 21 actually, for one of her abilities, so at the start of turn, meaning every single turn, gives 15% to special move gauge charge rate for allied tag androids, right? For androids. And if you look at this guy's blue card, so you look at his blue card and it's nothing special, and even when you look at the ultimate, it doesn't look like it's anything special, right? It just says deals massive damage. But when you go into his actual kit right here, on ultimate arts hit, enemies in range, he inflicts them with can't attack for 1 turn. So he's going to be able to hit 2 units. So I feel like that's really clutch. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I use that and abuse that a lot. And the way to actually get that to proc, to turn your blue card into the ultimate, is that when you're looking at the stages and you're looking specifically at the layout bonus, you can see these yellow tiles. That's how you upgrade your special move, your blue cards, to an ultimate card. So that's basically my consensus right there. You want to farm your blues with Blue 21 and Super 17 and then spam your ultimate whenever you can. So let's talk about cons, right? Let's talk about cons. So this is an expensive team, right? Besides free-to-play 21, High Stars and Zenkais are absolutely recommended. But you can see right here, I have the rank 1 player, and this is his kind of setup right here. I think if you have ToP 17 at High Stars, he 100% replaces Cell, right? He gets special move gauge charge rate up. The Blue 18 even is a very, very great option. I could definitely see why they would opt to replace the Cell, right? The green Cell for the Android 18. I think she also has blue card charge rate up and stuff like that. So very solid teams on both sides. I think this guy's team is more optimal in terms of points though, way more optimal than mine, but mine is kind of just like a safety net. All right, so the next team that I wanted to talk about is GT. So if you can see, this is my GT team. This is how I would build it if I did have it built like completely like soul boosted and stuff like that. But my GT team is very sloppy. I'm not gonna lie, that's why I never really use GT in this, but I cannot ignore how good they actually are in GT, right? So let's go ahead and get right into this. So Super Baby 2, right? Super Baby 2, you can see right here on my right hand side, this guy's actually not running Super Baby 2, but I'm gonna tell you why I would, even if I had the most stacked GT team ever. Like this guy has 14 stars on 14 star units right here, 14 star Majub, 14 star Super Saiyan 3 Goku. I don't. And even if I did, I would still bring this guy because he is a healer. I always talk about this guy, but he's able to consistently heal every single turn to the left and to the right of him. That alone, you can ignore the rest of his kit. Even if that was the only part of his kit, I think that would actually be very much worth it. And then so let's talk about Zenkai Red Goku now. He also has an ability right here where at the start of the first turn, he gets 50% to your special move gauge. So he will super roughly every 2 fights. That's, again, something very, very nice, right? Something you definitely want because you want to have a high damage output, and getting those blue cards can be very, very crucial for this game mode, especially if you want to get matches over with quickly. That way you're not taking too much damage, but you're dealing a lot. So let's talk about So next, let's talk about the Shadow Twins. So the Shadow Dragons, right? So Ice and Nova, they both have abilities that allow them to negate damage once per fight, i.e. through their green cards, right? I don't have Nova, but I do have Ice, so I can show you what I mean by that. So right here, so False Allegiance. Before receiving a Strike Arts attack, he activates his special action, which is his green card essentially, and it nullifies the attack. That activates once, and he also inflicts them with can't attack for 1 turn. Nova, he just does the bubble shield, but the thing about Nova is that he nullifies a Strike Arts or a Blast card. Alright, so next let's go ahead and move on to Majub. So Majub can actually farm blues as well, right? So he gets like 10%, I do believe it is,
Yeah, so 10% to special move gauge, right? On turn 2, and 5% for every blast, right? 5% to every blast or strike guard. So basically 20% a fight, and he can heal himself and stuff like that. You can even come up here and he has like ally buffs too, which is honestly, he's pretty solid. I would definitely advise bringing him in. I have him at like terribly low stars, so it's not too viable for me. All right, so that's Super Saiyan 3 Kid Q, right? This guy, he also has the ability to farm blues. As you can see right here at the start of the first turn, he gets 15% to his own special move gauge. But the thing I think is most considerable about him is that he can inflict the enemy with can't attack for 1 turn when he uses his own green card. So all in all, GT, it's another team that requires a lot of stars, Zenkais, and specific units. Not to mention, these units are not necessarily old, right? Ice Shenron, Nova Shenron, those are both 3rd anniversary units. And then Majub and this Kid Goku, the Super Saiyan 3 Kid Goku, came out after they came out, and the Zenkai Kid Goku is relatively, you guys catch my drift. It's overall kind of a hard team to build, and so I wouldn't advocate for it for like a more free-to-play friendly player, but I definitely do think it's a very, very solid team. And most of these units are in Z tier right here, so you can see you got some right there, and then you have some in S tier as well. Alright, so the next team that I want to talk about is Sagas from the movie. So I actually don't really have a lot to say about these guys because they're kind of falling off a little bit, especially for this season. Who knows if they're going to make a comeback next season or not, and I honestly do think there are a lot more better teams for this season other than these guys, but I just had to. Just one time for the one time. Sagas from the movies. Bring both Bojacks. As always, easily the top tier units within this team and can make for extremely quick fights. And the reason for that being is that these Bojacks, so at the start of the second turn, you get 100% to your special move gauge, and this red Bojack specifically, he upgrades it to his Galactic Buster, right? So I think that's really clutch. The purple Bojack basically does the same thing to the same effect, right? And then you also have this rival Gohan as a healer, right? Obviously too, he also has endurance, but the healing aspect is what I really like a lot. So at the start, he does a lot right here too. So at the start of the 3rd turn, right, he restores health by 1% for Sun Family, Hybrid Saiyans, and Sagas from the movies, and he also gives them 30% to special move gauge charge rate for 2 turns, and 15% to damage inflicted for 2 turns. That's a lot of support, man. That is a lot of support, but it is an LF unit, so I don't expect all of you guys to have him. I only have him at 3 stars and stuff like that, and he hasn't returned since his initial banner. I think one of the biggest downsides of this team, right, one of the biggest downsides of this team is that most of your main units are in S tier, including Red Bojack, so you might see a decline in points. So I think that's the biggest risk here. I'm filtered by Z. Only 3 of my units are in Z, and then you filter by S, and literally that's where everyone else is, right? So take this team with a grain of salt. You can also use the team right here on the right. I do believe that Broly, if you have him at high stars, that blue Broly, he actually has a pretty good kit, right? He can apply a good amount of debuffs and stuff like that. And then even that red Janemba, I really like him a lot. He nullifies a blast card and stuff like that. And even down to that transforming yellow Gohan, right? Even like truly, like, you have a lot of options on this team. A lot of old units that are significantly good to this day, right? Because the newest units that you have on here is Gokua, the Red Bojack, and the LF Gohan. And honestly, those 3 were all on one banner, so you could have easily got a pretty decent setup right here just from that banner alone. Alright, so for the last team that I wanted to go ahead and talk about is regeneration / powerful opponents. And I don't mean like separately, like I mean completely together. We just got this addition of this free-to-play Kid Buu, and he has a really good Z ability, right? 26% attack, powerful opponent, base strike, and blast defense, and an additional 15% to characters that lie in both tags, their base strike attack. 15% for that, and I actually have this filtered where it's set multiple for regeneration and powerful opponent. So all these guys right here, I have them listed on that. I feel like this could be a come-up team right here. Like 100% this could be a come-up team. So I do have the rank 91 player. He kind of has some units on there that are powerful opponent and regeneration. Besides, I think Nail's definitely not on it, and neither is Piccolo, but everyone else I do believe is on there. Maybe EXL is questionable and stuff like that, but on my side of things, everyone is regeneration and powerful opponent. So let's go through this team real quick. So free to play Kid Buu, right, he can heal himself upon taking damage. And that happens twice, right? So right here, after receiving an attack, he restores his own health by 2%, activates twice, and he also has ally buffs for powerful opponent. That's why I think it's very important that he is on powerful opponent, because you're going to get a lot of support out of him. 15% of damage inflicted for the left diagonal and for the right diagonal, as well as key recovery. That's pretty juicy. Key recovery is pretty important. That dictates how the attack order, essentially. And then obviously we have Yellow Cell. Right, this Yellow Cell, I talk about him a lot. He has a cover change, and he can also heal himself as well. Green Cell, this guy, he also, once again, he heals himself. Personally, one of my favorite combos about this is that Purple 21 and Zenkai 21. The reason why I like these two so much is because of the fact that they mesh so well. They have so much synergy, right? Because they are both regeneration and powerful opponents, right? And then Blue 21 heals Purple 21 because of the fact that she has this ability where restores health of transforming warriors, health by 2% every single turn. You know what else is a transforming warrior? A Super Baby 2. So this guy, if he needs heals and stuff like that, you're not gonna die, bro. I truly believe you're not gonna die. Another transforming warrior, you need another one? This guy right here, you have a lot of potential for heals right here, right? So, like I said, Super Baby 2, regeneration and powerful opponent, as well as transforming warrior. Regen easily fits in there, right? We just talked about him. Boo Tanks, obviously, he's in Z tier, right? He's in Z tier for the season, and he's a Z tier unit in ToP. He gets that blue card on the first turn, right? 100% to special move gauge. Easily can go ahead and snipe a red unit for you, right? But you know, you have a lot of options here, right? So you can even go down here. There's like this free-to-play purple Buhan and stuff like that. You know, there's a whole lot. Even if you didn't want to run the 21 combos, like, and you wanted a different purple unit and you just wanted to like just swap out, you have a lot of options. Demon King Piccolo, I think this guy's a little bit on the squishy side, right? Just a little bit on the squishy side, but he can still be viable as long as you have the stars for him, right? And I guess the only other thing is that it's about half and half. Right, half of these units are in Z tier, which I have filtered out right here, and then the other half are kind of like in S tier and stuff like that. But even here, bro, like this guy, amazing. I love this unit. He is so good. I actually probably would replace that cell with this guy right here. Boom. There it is. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys are going to run this team, what do you guys think of this team? And that's basically all the teams I have for you. And always keep in mind that these aren't like definitive teams. These aren't the only teams that are going to get you through it. There's a lot of other noteworthy teams and stuff like that. So let me know in the comments down below what you're using, what units are like absolute god tier that you think that I definitely underrate and stuff like that. I want to know. So the next thing that we're going to go ahead and talk about is map awareness. This is essentially the route you're going to be taking in ToP, right? Because that has a huge amount. It's very, very significant, right? Because you have to know what you're up against. You want to know what kits you're going to be fighting, what units you're going to be fighting, and stuff like that. And it gets pretty complicated, I know, and you know it does require a lot of you to like have the general understanding of these kits. But let's go ahead and talk about a lot of teams that I'm seeing on this particular map. So Android teams, you see one right here, and you know the one, there's even a boss battle one and stuff like that, but the one I want to talk about is pretty much this lineup. So let's go ahead and talk about what these guys kind of do. So 16, right? 16, he has a cover change on blast cards, and so does Super 17. Or Super 17 doesn't have a cover change, but he eats blast cards, right? Not only does he eat blast cards, he eats blue cards that are projectiles, right? As long as they're like a key blast and stuff like that. So you may want to consider taking a strike heavy team for this kind of fight right here. I'm not too sure, but the thing with this is that I'm seeing other variants of this team, like over here, where we actually have Super 13 as well. And so if you guys don't know about Super 13, he has a strike cover change and a guaranteed blue on the third turn. I'll repeat, a guaranteed blue on the third turn. And this red 18 also heals 2 units every turn, so it can be very, very annoying to deal with. Alright, so now let's talk about LOE teams such as this one right here. So again, a lot of LOE teams that I'm noticing. There's a couple boss battles with LOE teams, so let's go ahead and cover these guys real quick. So LF Purple Frieza, that's the one you always see on this kind of team. He immobilizes one of your units, turn 1, right? Turn 1, and he has a board-wide cover rescue for strike cards. So anyone that you hit, they're going to get cover rescued by him. So sometimes I do like to attack. I like to just target him first if I do have to go against this fight, go against this unit in particular, right? And speaking of immobilize, though, this Red Frieza also, this movie Red Frieza also does that. He immobilizes turn 1. So 2 of your units could possibly just not be getting an attack off on that first turn, which is incredibly annoying. And then don't and so if you counter this Frieza right here, sparking full power Frieza, he gets his blue if and only if you send a blast card his way. So you have officially been warned. If you send a blast card his way, you're going to get blue carded by him, right? You're going to charge his blue card. And then LF full power Frieza, thankfully he doesn't do the same thing. The LF version has a cover rescue on blast though. So as you guys can tell, there's a lot of support going on between this team. There's a lot of like utility that they have against you. So it can be very annoying. I'm not gonna lie. Alright, so the last team I want to talk about is hybrid teams. So there's a couple of these guys running around, I think. You know, honestly, I saw a lot of this exact team right here. This team in particular, right? So there are a lot of red units, obviously, right? And then, so they're going to be strong against regeneration. In case you guys don't know, this purple Gohan has a buff against regeneration, and this Saiyan Armored Trunks also has a turn against regeneration. And this Gohan is just so damn annoying, bro. This blue Gohan is so annoying. He will tank all the turn 1 attacks, and he'll have like a damage cut on it. So unless you have like a whole lot of greens, you might not even get through him on that first turn. It might take you a little bit into the second turn and stuff like that, right? And we can actually go right here to the first boss. This is very, very annoying as well. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. So we just talked about this Gohan, how annoying he is, and this Goten as well. So Goten, this transforming Super Saiyan Goten gets his blue on turn 2. So if you can't get through Gohan on turn 1 with enough time to go ahead and finish off this Goten, he will most likely get that blue card off, which definitely sucks, especially if you're running purple units and stuff like that, right? This team I always talk about, just I don't have to say anything about this. Just kill the yellow kid Gohan first, or he will hit you with a lot of blue cards. Please, just kill him first. Kill him first. All right, so that being said, let's go ahead and move on to the final segment that is going to be new characters. So the first one that we have is this free-to-play Kid Buu. We actually did talk about him a little bit, so let's go fully in depth on him. So this is his kit right here, right? So at 60% to own damage inflicted for 1 turn, 20% to own damage, minus 20% to own damage received. So these are his debuffs, right? He's gonna go ahead and debuff the enemy team. He's multi-target. He also has this ability called Tremendous Vitality, where he's buffing powerful opponent, which is very important. That's why I stressed that you should probably be running this guy with powerful opponent, at least 2 powerful opponents for him to buff, right? Because it's going to be in that left diagonal and that top right diagonal. It's gonna be for 2 allies. So 15% to damage inflicted, as well as 20% to ki recovery. Very, very nice. And then after receiving an attack, he restores his own health by 2%. Again, very, very nice. All right, next we have Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. So this guy is pretty garbage. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This guy's pretty bad. So if defeated, he just restores allies' health by 10%. Right? You don't want your units to be defeated. I've stressed that a lot in past videos. You don't really want your units to die. So you gotta just act as if this ain't there at all. So you take that away, and then he only has this. Definitely not worth it. And on top of that, he's in A tier, right? So he's not even really. He's going to be hindering your points as is. He's going to be just like. He's just going to hinder your team, like, as a whole for ToP. All right, next we have Cell, the perfect Cell. So this guy actually there's a lot going on in his kit. Like, look at his kit, bro. It's actually crazy. So LF Cell, he has buffs against hybrids. He will be pretty good for hybrid heavy seasons is what I think, right? Because he's able to farm blue cards. You can see right here at the start of the battle, if there's an enemy hybrid, he straight up just gets 30% to his special move gauge. I don't know if this is explicit enough or not, but I don't know if this is just only at the very beginning of the battle, or if it's like every turn, like how some other units are. But I'm pretty sure it's just once per fight, right? And then on top of that, if you do happen to get your blue card off, it automatically upgrades. It upgrades itself just for there being a hybrid, right? So hybrid Saiyan and Saiyans, he has a buff against, which is really, really nice, right? And he also has a cover change and stuff like that. And he restores health. He heals himself, bro. He heals himself, so receives 15% of damage received up to 15% of his own health. Very, very juicy indeed. But he is an LF unit, right? An LF unit, and that means that I doubt everyone's going to have him at 6 stars and up, right? Because I know I rarely have any of the new LFs like at 6 stars or above like 3 stars. Sometimes even it's rough for me to get them above 2 stars just to that 3-star point. All right, so that being said, that's pretty much all I have for you guys. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below. What teams, like I said, let me know what teams you're running, and let me know what issues you're running into and stuff like that. Let me know if you want any replacements for any teams and stuff, and feel free to help each other out in the comments as well. You know, you always love to see it and stuff like that, get that sense of community. And that being said, if you guys enjoyed the video, definitely let me know by leaving a like, a comment, and maybe even consider hitting that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next one. Later!